Welcome to the CXPod, where we aim to expand people's perception of customer experience management. We know that customer experience goes hand in hand with employee experience, and we believe that a broader and more holistic view might even replace terms like CX and EX with people experience or human experience.
Hello and welcome to the CXPod, everyone. Welcome, Joanna. How are you
Hello.
today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
You sounded surprised, like I'm good. Did you expect to say you weren't?
No, I didn't. No, I'm really good. I've started the day with a PT teamer. I'm feeling like on top of the world. It's the best
All
thing I've
right.
ever done.
Great. And Ulrika, welcome to the CXPod.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All the way from Sweden, I should say.
Yes, Stockholm, Sweden.
Stockholm, Sweden. It's so exciting. I mean, I have to say, I know Ulrika from before because I am on the board of the company where you work. So that's how we know each other. We should probably be open about that. But I have been so excited to have you as a guest on the podcast because it's not just any company that you work for. So we're going to let you talk a little bit about that as well. But first of all, I want you to introduce yourselves to all our listeners. Who is Ulrika?
Yes, and actually a bit stressed right now because yesterday when I was on the train to work, I listened to your last podcast with Robin Daniels, and he had such an energy that I was thinking, oh my God, I will never be able to give that.
Yeah,
But,
you will.
Very, very interesting, by the way. So who am I? I would say having a background within HR. I have in the past mostly worked within large enterprises. I used to say that I was born and raised at Ericsson in Sweden. I had two parents, my mother and father both worked at Ericsson. I met my husband there. I started when I was 15 years old in the switchboard, and I had a very, very great, I would say, journey at Ericsson. This was in the 90s, being the assistant of the CEO.
Oh, right.
But then after 10 years, I started studying at Stockholm University. And then when I came back again, I got the opportunity to move into an HR manager role. So I was there for a few years. And then I decided that I wanted to try different industries because I had only worked within the tech industry. And then I thought, well, being a consultant could be good because then you could really try different industries. But if you have a specific experience as a consultant, that's what you normally get as an assignment. So I had a few shorter assignments, and then I moved into an assignment at Microsoft. So then I became employed. So I was at Microsoft for 7 years. First in an HR manager role, and then I moved to more of a business development role. So, and then today I am the CEO at Brilliant, as you said, Merete. I started at Brilliant 4.5 years ago. So first I started as head of business development, and then I also took on marketing. So I have really moved from HR to more business roles. And then 2.5 years ago, I got the opportunity to become the CEO.
Yeah.
So that's the professional side. I would say from a personal side, I will soon become 50 years old. I will soon actually be married for the second time. I have two quite grown-up sons now. The youngest one is 16 and the oldest one is 23. So I'm at a very, I would say, happy place right now on the personal note.
And you claim you didn't bring any energy to the show. This is awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have to say, sorry to interrupt you, Joanna, you're used to it, so I'll give you some space afterwards. And this is, I mean, I knew some of these things about you, obviously, but not all of it. And I just love, like, immediately when you started talking about your journey, I can see how you've become sort of so fit for the role that you have today and the journey that you've had, just, being the assistant's assistant and having done that, and also how you've worked your way through technology and even the brands that you've been with. I think it must have been so much to learn. And I was fortunate enough to be actually part of the board who decided to get you on as the CEO for Brilliant Future. So very happy to have seen that as well. The light went off here. Sorry about that.
And I would say actually, because I when I meet people, they say, well, wow, good for Brilliant to have a former HR person as a CEO. And then I can say, well, or the opposite, because I really know exactly what we can do as an employer and what we cannot do. And I've been working within quite high performing companies. So I mean, I'm not that nice as you could imagine.
So I also think about, you know, the place you're in or at in life as well in general. I just love seeing, you know, women our age, and I have to say I'm not that much younger, so, you know, I'll say our age, and just I just love seeing how you've sort of made your way and the way you lead, and we're going to dive into this eventually in the questions as well, but I am truly inspired by the work you have done and the work you do. So it's really a pleasure having you on the podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Joanna, what did you want to say?
Yeah, I wanted to say, first off, Ulrika, absolutely lovely meeting you. Because of course, unlike Merete, who's known you for a little while, it's the first time that we've got to speak together. And what a fantastic story you just shared, because one thing I was reflecting on, I can imagine that working for a company such as like Ericsson and having the possibility to like build your way up and strengthen your knowledge and capabilities continually within such a company, it must have laid quite a great foundation for you and your entire career, I would imagine.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I mean, when it's basically up to you what you want to do. I mean, of course, you have to follow specific processes and so on. But if you do a good job and you really want to achieve something, then you have all the opportunities, because it's such a large company. So that's, of course, something that we are struggling more with at Brilliant, because we are not that many. So the opportunities and the different paths are not so many as within a big company.
But would you still say
not yet? That's true.
But still a nice position as well. But would you say, because I get the immediate feeling that because having worked with quite a few Swedish companies along the years, and also international companies who have sort of, and I'm in a Swedish company right now, I find that is part of your culture as well in Sweden. Yeah. I'm not sure, but it's like, don't complain. I mean, it's fine to be frustrated and everything, but it's like, if you want to achieve something, then just go for it, because nobody's really going to stop you. If you have that attitude, it smells a little bit like the American dream, if you want to put it on the spiss, as we say in Norwegian.
I can't tell if it's a difference between Sweden and Norway, but it's definitely, I would say, in Sweden that you can, depending on what you want to achieve.
I think in Norway we struggle more. We work hard, but we also complain a little bit about it. But in Sweden, it's more like we work hard, because that's when, I don't know, I'm not going to be getting all Norwegians pissed off at me at the moment, but it's just when you said it, it felt like this feels very Swedish, and I love that.
Yeah, I agree. I think also something else I was reflecting on from what you were saying, Ulrika, was how fantastic it must be to have worked across. We often talk about these silos when we talk about achieving great customer experiences. And I think having somebody like yourself who's actually worked across different silos, the position that it must put you in as a leader, I think must be phenomenal.
So. I hope so. At least I know, again, my background is very, very good if you work as a CEO, I would say. But I've also been in my HR roles coaching leaders all the time. So I think I have that natural in me, although it's much harder. It's quite easy to coach a leader to do something, and then you sit there on your own and you really have to do it. And of course that's much harder. But I've always worked within the leadership area. So
we like to use football analogies here at the CXPod, so it's always easier to be watching the match from the bench, right? And say what went wrong instead of being up and doing it. Yeah. But it's
Then I'm wondering, with all this background, what would you say is your expertise today, Ulrika?
I would still say it's on the people side. I would say, of course, I have all working more than 20 years within HR. I still have all the labor law and everything in me, so that's a very natural. And I have the leadership, and I have the importance of communicating as a leader. You always have to communicate, even if you don't have anything to say to the organization. You have to communicate something. So I think that's I mean, what I have learned during the years. But I have also moved more to the customer experience side now, since this is really one part of our business that we go to the market with. So I don't know if I should say something about Brilliant, because then I think all the pieces.
Yeah, I was actually thinking the same. You should mention a little bit about what you do and who is the company, and a little bit about the story as well would be nice.
Yeah, exactly. So Brilliant Future is we are a Swedish software as a service company. We are based in Stockholm, and we have today around 70 employees, and we have basically we build our whole business around the service profit chain, meaning how everything from the internal perspective with employees, leadership, culture, working laws and everything really affect the external side, which is then customer loyalty and customer satisfaction, and how that affect business results at the end. So we have two different platforms. We have platforms where we gather feedback from employees. We do these employee surveys. And then we have the other platform gathering feedback from customers, both more broader relationship-based surveys, but also specifically on customer support, where we have these transactional measures when you have been in contact with your customer support. I would say what we want to achieve is that we would like to be the strategic business partner to our customers, because we also have professional services we're very experienced consultants helping our customers to really achieve what they have to achieve more strategically. So they have the data, and then we can help them to really reach their strategy.
Yeah. Can you hear that, Joanna? We have been talking about this so many times, and it's so beautifully put, just like that. Find a strategic partner to help you with exactly what you just said there. Yeah. And I think any company will benefit from it. Yeah. This is what we sort of fight for every day, every episode of the podcast. This is what we want our listeners and their managers and leaders to understand. And we do feel, we're going to let you delve into that as well, but I sometimes feel that, we're talking and it makes sense, but still people don't sort of attack it and operationalize it. We have so much more to work with there, but this is such a great foundation. And I think, it's beautifully put. As if we told you what to say, we didn't. So moving from that and just try to be this is the CXPod after all. So I would like for you to sort of try to define in your own words, what is customer experience or customer experience management even to you? What does that mean? Like, what is the definition of it to you?
And I think that's quite hard, because for me, customer experience is all the interactions that you have as a customer with a specific company. So it's everything from the brand to the homepage to the product and services that you buy, obviously, and the contact that you have with customer care, customer support, and everything. So there are a lot of different interactions that you have, and for me, it's really important to start with setting the strategy based on the customer journey. So what do you want to be? How do you want your customers to experience when they are in contact with you? And then, of course, we can dig into all the questions around technology and everything. But I mean, that's really how do you want to be perceived as a company? What is important? Where do you want to stick out?
So management is almost like taking, what should I say? understanding that the experience is influenced by all these different touch points, and the management of the process is, for example, using insight on how customers are experiencing all these touch points to strategically make informed decisions.
Exactly.
Yeah. What would you say is capturing your attention these days in the world of this whole world of talking about customer centricity? What is?
And I've been reflecting around that for actually several years, and we've also been discussing it at the board. And if I could give just an example of what the journey that, or the transformation that Brilliant we are going through and have been for the past few years, I think for us it's to find the balance between giving very really delivering a personal customer experience while we still have to become even more scalable and even more profitable. So we have built, in the past, we used to be more of a consultancy business. So we helped our customers with everything from setting up a survey to sending out the survey to analyzing, presenting the result. We did everything for the customers. And then with, of course, the opportunities with digitalization, we got the opportunity to build a new platform, which is much more built around self-service, delivering more of a scalable platform where the customers can do and have to do much more by themselves. So how do we find the balance between having that scalable business and still being very personal and relevant for the customer, and being able to be that strategic partner? Because I mean, if you're only a tool, then you can be replaced so easily. So that is for me something, and for us as a management team, something that we are continuously working with. How can we keep that warm feeling of Brilliant while still being a software as a service platform?
So would you say that, because my theory and my approach to this, and you probably know this already, but that is, if we are able to make this scalable and make this a self-service platform, that will release more time and capacity for us to be that personal partner as well. So instead of focusing on only doing things more efficiently and only cost saving, people-wise, but actually sort of doing this with the intention to not get rid of all the people, but instead keeping quite a few of them to be able to maintain that. And there's the tool, but there's also the way we develop the tool for you. There's also the way we recommend you to use the tool. So I think it's a really interesting journey, and I think the journey from being more of a product and a consultancy based company, even if it's been a service all along, now it's becoming more and more. And from the point I look at it from, it seems to be working quite fine as well.
So. Yes, and we, of course, we develop. Just looking now looking back 1 year, we have done so many great things, and many of our customers also appreciate the fact that they can do more by themselves. They can be more flexible in pulsing different surveys as much as they want. But then we do have these customers who really would like someone to hold their hands and to do something extra, and then we can do that, as you say, Merete. I mean, I normally look at, if we don't have to do all the practical to get the machine working, then we can really deliver extra value at the top.
Yeah.
So that's why. So we have used like a picture saying that how can we have more than 5,000 customers and still being 70 people? Then we can really add something at the top.
I really love that it's a focus for your company, Ulrika, that yes, we can help you scale, we can help you effectivize, but we want to also help you keep the personal touch and the human. And I think just communicating that is crucial from a starting point. It's like, let's not automatize absolutely everything. But let's understand what we can so that we can be more personal where it really matters.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, because I mean, automation works in that way, right? It's supposed to sort of be a help, but it's not supposed to take over necessarily everything, because it's still a mechanism that's delivering service. So
it can help us with all the boring things, but
exactly.
I mean, still at the end, and then of course we have to segment our customers. The larger ones, they will probably need more help than the smallest ones. Yeah.
And I mean, also, we could talk about this forever, but I just, with reference to that, we've talked a lot about the onboarding processes as well, both HR wise and CX wise. And I think, if you have a good onboarding journey, then your smallest customers will be able to manage by themselves.
Yeah.
And then again, what you do have to offer them personal wise is that extra touch and that extra human sort of care and checkup every now and then. So great approach. I want to move on, and you can actually decide whether you want to answer this question from a brilliant point of view or from a brilliant customer point of view. So whether you answer it based on what you think your customers experience or what you yourself experience in Brilliant. And that is, what is the most significant challenge, do you think, that companies face today when it comes to being customer-centric or delivering good experiences?
Yeah, and I think that it will be an answer both from Brilliant perspective and also from our customers, because I think that's finding that balance that we just talked about is one of the challenges. But I mean, you can digitize so many parts of the customer journey. Well, actually, all of them. But finding the balance and really also finding the if I look at, for example, many organizations are digitizing the whole customer support. And I think then, first of all, we're trying to do that for many, many years, but still there are industries where you really need to have that personal contact. For example, we saw now in our data and our customers during the whole, both the pandemic, but also now with all the companies struggling and all the private economy and everything struggling, the banks, the insurance companies, the what's it called, electrician companies with all the high
utility,
exactly. Then you have so much frustration, probably as a private person, that you need someone to talk to. You need someone who is sympathetic and really can listen and help you. So that kind of support will not be replaced with technology, I think, because you still need that contact. And you also see very, very clear that the customer loyalty is much, much higher when you can offer that personal contact. So I would say challenge could be that to find the right way to handle different cases, different customers.
Find and having the capacity to do so, I would assume as well, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So, and I mean, we've seen so many, and again with technology, I don't remember exactly where this was, but it was a bank service that during like this, I mean, I won't call it a recession, but close to that we've seen the last year or two, right? So what they did was they made a whole new approach to their banking customers, coming out and reached out to them and saying, like, look, this is how we've analyzed your accounts. This is how we think you should be spending your money, saving your money, placing your money, basically proactively going out there and offering advice to people they saw that you're struggling, like you're paying way too much for electricity. You should change vendor, like, and that was done by the help of technology, but then again, it had to be communicated by with a human touch. So
exactly.
I think I agree. This is a really big challenge. It's also an exciting challenge, and I think that the companies who see this and understands this, that this is a complexity that needs to be looked at, and they will be able to probably simplify a lot of things for their customers. And we do know that one of the biggest drivers to loyalty is if you manage to simplify things and help people getting their jobs done, as you like to say, Joanna.
Yeah, definitely. But you have to be, I mean, we also have many examples where I mean, me personally, when I try to reach out to my bank, for example, and I try to solve a specific case that cannot be done with a chatbot. So I try and I try and I try, and I always end up again having to call customer service anyway, and that always makes me so irritating to find the right channel for the right problem or the right issue to solve.
Yeah.
It's amazing how we can do surgery via 5G. You know, doctors can make, but then we can't make a chatbot actually answer the question. I want to talk to a human. Oh, please, I can try to help you. No, I want to talk to a human. No,
Yeah.
if you just give me a try, I'll probably be able to help you. I want to talk to a human.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, the absolutely perfect, ideal customer-centric company would start their communication by asking, how do you want to communicate with us? Letting the customer choose and then putting them into that channel. And then ensuring that all the channels, which one the customer prefers to use, is equally as good. That is like the dream scenario.
Yeah.
Exactly. And every channel has the same information, so that you don't have to fill in the same information all the time.
Yeah, and of course, IE can help with that. It can help even if you're a contact agent, you can use IE to make sure you're giving exactly the same information that should be given if it was coming from a chatbot. So,
yeah.
Okay, Ulrika, what's your perspective on the key attributes of a customer-centric company?
So many things. I would say having a very clear direction from the CEO and the management team, first of all, to set the strategy there, to involve the whole organization. But then, of course, the culture, having that really customer-centric culture is, I would say, key. And I was part of the journey that Microsoft went through, was now 10 years ago, where they were also going through a big transformation, moving from more of the traditional license-led business to the cloud, to helping customers digitize their businesses in the cloud, meaning that we understood at Microsoft that we will never manage to be successful in this journey if we don't change our culture. And the CEO there, Satya Nadella, he said that we have to move from a culture where we know it all to a culture where we want to learn it all. So we were not that humble that we had to, because now we were suddenly new beginners. We had to learn everything from the start. We had to learn about different industries. We had to learn about different roles in order to really become that partner helping customers to digitally transform. So that was a very exciting journey to build that. We also used the growth mindset, and then we had to be customer obsessed in order to really take from the outside and bring that into Microsoft. And that was a very, very important and I would say a critical transformation, that culture transformation we were going through.
Yeah.
So how did you do it? Sorry, Joanna, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking that it actually, and that it also comes to your question, Merete, because it actually reminds me of a comment that I had on a LinkedIn post that I put out about customer experience washing. And somebody wrote that, in order to ensure that we aren't communicating that our brand is customer centric, but then our services are letting us down, then companies have got to go through a transformation, and it takes time. It is a process. But he also finished off with a question, as you was just saying, Merete. The question is, how do you do it?
Yeah, and Microsoft seems to have done it. So I just want to know, how did you approach that? That's a big thing to approach.
Yeah, of course it is. And there are so many different parts of it, of course. But I mean, building that more of a growth mindset, of course, then you really need to fundamentally change how you drive your business and how the culture of being the knowers, being the one who knows everything, and then building that mindset of wanting to learn and wanting to or having the gut to take risks, because it takes a lot of guts to take a conversation with a customer CEO about his business, about his industry, or what he has to do with his business if you don't have that knowledge. So, of course, a lot of trainings. That was the first part. But we also did everything from changing the whole performance management model, focusing on what's really important, focusing on what's really business impact instead of all the million things that you have done, all the activities. We were focusing on, okay, what is the real business impact? We changed also how we evaluated our employees based on how we collaborated and helped each other instead of having more of the internal, what's it called in English? We were competing internally
competition,
before,
yeah.
then we changed to totally the whole performance model to being
more collaborative versus competing.
Exactly. So
that's great.
And then of course setting the tone from the top and everything, and then lifting different examples on where we really had made a difference, where we really in a small area in China where we really empowered people to do whatever they wanted, and then we could have all these examples to lift up.
So just a sort of cheat or extra question to that, it's not part of the original challenge rack, but references to brilliant in this sense, because you're basically doing a little bit of the same, right? You went from being more of a not SaaS company or like specific not hardware, but yeah, product focused, and now it's more the software as a service. So have you used, I mean, you must have, it's a stupid question really, but can you tell me a little bit of how you sort of applied what you learned at Microsoft doing that in Brilliant? Because it's obvious.
Yes, and I have one specific example, because at Microsoft we worked to have the right mindset. We talked about a specific house where we had the technology in the basement, and we had all the solution, and then at the top, when we were at the rooftop bar, we had to be able to stay at the rooftop bar to talk to a CEO, to a CFO, to a CHRO or whatever, to talk business with them, and not only being in the basement where we talk technology, because that was what we did in the past. And I would say I have a similar house at Brilliant. If you want to become, because again, if you are a software as a service company selling a platform, it's very easy to change to another one, because you could just compare different functionalities and then you're out. So we also have to be able, we have the technology, we have the solutions, we have the employee experience, the customer experience, but then we have to be at the rooftop bar to really build that strategic partnership. So that's one thing that I've used. So everyone, when I say talk bar here at Brilliant, everyone knows what I mean.
And we love rooftop bars as well. So this is a perfect match. All right. So from that little, I mean, we call them rabbit holes. Isn't that what we've called them lately? We dive into rabbit holes and then we get lost and we forget about what we're really supposed to be talking about. But I'm going to try to pinch us back. This is a given. I have to ask it anyway. But, in the CXPod, we talk a lot about voice of the customer programs, because, not all people work with or have them. So you work in a voice of the customer company, but I still want to sort of have your take on them. Like, have they served their purpose? Are they going to die? Are they going to maintain? Like, how is your take on those, on that?
I mean, obviously, I will never say that it will not be relevant to ask your customers for feedback. So that's very, very important, and you need technology to do it. But I think it's very important to start with setting the strategy, to really understanding what is important for us, what kind of segment of our customers are most important, and where on the whole customer journey do we want to start. So really do the job before you start measuring. That's really important. And then to have both the strategic, the more relationship perspective. You have, of course, as a product company, you have also the product experience. You have the operational experience. You have to use AI to really analyzing the different conversations that you have with your customers. So there are many, you could measure everything, but you have to really decide what you want to start with. What is the most critical part for you?
So they're not going anywhere then, the voice of the customer programs, you think?
I don't think so.
No.
What can I shoot in a question there as well? What's your take on qualitative feedback or insight? Because a lot is going more into the surveys and digital. But what's your take on qualitative? Is that something we should still also be doing in addition to
Definitely in
automatized?
addition. For example, now we sent out our own relationship survey just 2 weeks ago, and that was actually quite funny because we have released a new product for customer experience management just in April this year, and I wanted to make, because it's extremely easy. You have seen it, Merete, totally AI driven, easy platform to use, and I wanted to make it funny in the organization. So I, during an all hands meeting, I was the one who activated the survey and sent it out to I think 3,000 respondents, and then I always, now we have it still open. I think it will close tomorrow. So I always talk about, okay, now we have this many answers and we have an NPS of C and so, but then the job starts and you have it open all the time, so you can get the answers, and you see the response, and you see the text that your customers have written, and then we follow up. So we always have to close the loop with our customers. I, for example, both thank all our ambassadors personally, and then as soon as there is any feedback that we have to take responsibility of, then it's either me or our head of product or the customer success team who I mean calls the customer and we have a discussion. So I think you have to combine those two.
Good input.
I agree.
Yeah, because
but it's a nice little twist there. Did you see? Because normally we talk about either you do qualitative or you do quantitative, right? What you do is you combine it. So basically you start with the quantitative and then you use that to sort of gain the qualitative. And I would say, and this is not just because I'm on the board of Brilliant, it may sound like that, but then you get the relevant qualitative feedback as well, because it's not just based on a random qualitative question, but you can actually pin it onto what the customer, him or herself, initially talked about. So I would suppose it gets more relevant. And then obviously, depending on what it is you're trying to understand, you should or shouldn't do this. But if you're trying to understand more about this specific customer's experience, then this is definitely a good approach. So I think using the closing the loop sort of process or part of the process to gaining that extra tad of qualitative insight is, I like it.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely being customer obsessed, because then we want to listen, and then we want to take the dialogue as well.
Yeah.
And even
that I've got a lot to learn there.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of some emails I've sent out recently and said, I'd love to offer my qualitative feedback, and they never get in touch.
No.
Never.
And they say they're customer centric. So Joanna has established this new sort of terminology, and I really love it. We talk about greenwashing, we talk about pink washing, and now we're talking about CX washing. And it's very sort of, it's really valid. And I'm looking forward to sort of exploring this more with you, Joanna, because I think it has become such a buzz to be customer centric. Like everyone now has understood that they need to say something about their customer approach. But too many companies are just sort of getting a text sort of writer to write something nice, or a strategist or somebody who makes something nice and fluffy and fancy. But it doesn't really hold when you look at how they actually treat their customers. So we've talked about this in so many ways, how marketing are selling you in and how you need to deliver on that promise. And now it's obviously it's marketing's job to sell the whole customer promise thing, but we do see more and more companies fail. And I'm not going to say I'm eager to sort of hunt them down and confront them with it, but actually I have to admit that in a way I am, because I'm not even sure if they are aware. And if they aren't, then I think it's a great opportunity for them to sort of understand that there are companies that can help you with this. There are tools that can help you with this. There are even whole disciplines that work with this. So I think too many people have sort of embraced the idea of being customer centric without understanding how much hard work and how big of an effort it actually takes to be it. So
and also to start, you don't have to start with a big picture. You can start with a small one, and then you can grow from that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good point.
Good point. Yeah.
Okay. Next question. I think this is very much about what we've been talking about, but in what ways do you think that technology has transformed the customer journey, and what do you believe the future holds?
Yeah, and obviously, of course, we can use technology and even more AI to become more personal and also send the right content to the right person in the right time and everything. So of course we can do so much with technology, but again, I'm quite old-fashioned in also finding the balance with the personal contact. So I would say, and I'm not that techy, but I think that technology will definitely be able to do everything during the whole customer journey. But then you have to find what makes us special as a company. Where do we have that personal contact? What do our customers need? So
I love
you will
how
not get that techie answer from me, but I will definitely think that the ones who will be successful will manage to balance both.
I think you're right. And I love, Joanna, you said in a previous episode, I don't remember which one it was, but you said that AI can sort of write the whole your whole commercial sort of strategy and your commercial you can use AI to do basically create your tone of voice and everything, but it's not, AI is not going to separate you from the other one who's asking for the same sort of help. So AI has no interest in finding what's special about you and that's where culture comes in. And I think we talked about this with Robin as well, and how again, we need to get back to being human, and we need to embrace the humans that we work with and the humans that we employ, and what culture, like you say, what house do we want to bring them into, and how is that rooftop bar going to look like? I think I think there will be room for companies who are short and sweet and do not offer too much love and care, and then there will be the need for the companies who do offer that. So but it's about just being conscious about it really as well, right? And making a decision. Are we going to be this or are we going to be this? Because if you go for everything, you're not going to, if you try to hit every goal, no, what did they say? It's like if you aim for everything, you're going to miss everything as well. Or something like that. You know what I mean?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm looking at the final questions, and I see we have touched upon quite a few of them, but there are a few questions left that I hope that we will have time to go through. And I think one of them is, from your perspective and with the journey that you have behind you, and also, where you are in life right now, and the company you work for, just, in the context of being Ulrika, do you have any examples of a company that sort of exemplifies a great customer experience, or somebody who's wowed you, and what did they do, if so, to sort of?
Well, actually, and it's again for me very, very easy to do that, to surprise your customer in a positive way. And I actually have a personal experience. A year ago, I was hit by a truck when I was driving. So the truck came from nothing serious.
I mean, obviously, you're still here, but
yes,
it sounded
exactly.
awful.
I can walk. Well, anyway, I was driving and I was hit from behind by a truck, and then he went to the right side and hit me also on the right front side. So there were two different injuries. And then when I talked to my insurance company, they said, well, you have to pay double, what's it called, deductibles. Because there were two different, and they couldn't find the driver because he didn't have any registration. So it was very, I mean, and for me, I was quite taken from it because it was quite, I would say, serious for me.
And
traumatic,
then,
yeah, exactly. And then anyway, we ended up with me having to pay two deductibles. And then I just let it go because I obviously didn't want to argue with my insurance company. And then a few weeks later, I was contacted by the specific customer support person who I had talked to. And he was really trying, although back a few weeks back, he was trying to help me, but he couldn't come any further. But then he called me and he said, well, I've really done everything that I can. So you will only have to pay one deductible. And I had already let it go several weeks ago, but he had that as a person, obviously, or as an employee, that he was so engaged with his work that he really wanted to try to help me. And then I wasn't expecting anything, and he came back and he said, well, you only have to pay like 3,000 crowns instead of 6,000. So that was for me, it's very, very easy, but that's the great, I would say, the customer experience that I would like to.
Yeah, this reminds me of the story that, and it's such a great story, and how traumatic, first of all, to be hit by a truck, not even once, but twice, and then and the driver left, like.
Yeah, he left, and he was crazy.
So, but what I like about this story, to sort of get the positive out of it, and that is, you remember how we've said, Joanna, that disobedience is what makes a good customer experience.
Yeah.
So when an employee just doesn't accept that this is the way we treat our customers, like, I'm going to go to the top level with this, and this lady should not be paying 2 deductibles. So this person has sort of been on a personal mission within his or her company to figure this out. And I think, again, this is why we should give people the trust to make decisions in their day-to-day, because they will make great decisions for your customers. So as leaders, I think we should be better at giving that responsibility. And okay, so maybe you make one mistake, or you make one wrong decision, and that may cost you a little bit. But I think, the end sum is going to be, and I took this from the story with, everyone's heard of the Norwegian Airport Express train when it stopped, and the train host went out and just sort of hijacked the bus to get all the passengers to the airport. And she just said, just send the bill to the Airport Express train. Obviously, she was remembered for a lot of things, but then again, those customers who actually made it to their flights, they were probably very, very big ambassadors. So I think, again, it's just the personal engagement, and then that comes from caring about your job and caring about, like, I do not want to be representing a company. We should not be doing this.
No,
so
exactly.
It's back to culture.
That employee should basically be given a medal for going above and beyond in for the sake of the customer.
So if you're listening, if you work at the insurance company of Ulrika, I don't think I'm not going to push you to say who it was if you don't want to. I mean, if you want to, you can. But if you're listening and you recognize yourself from this story, you have our kudos, and we praise you.
Yeah, really, really.
Great story.
Ulrika, have you got any examples of a company that you think exemplifies great customer experience?
That was what we just had.
Well, obviously my insurance company, but I actually have
Did we?
We have another example, at least, based on our data, our customer data. We have one customer within the retail industry who we analyzed how does the using customer feedback, how does that affect profitability? And it's so interesting because we saw that there were 84 stores, and the 25% that really used customer feedback to develop their business and to develop their stores, compared to the 25% that used feedback the poorest, the ones that used customer feedback had 40% higher profitability. I cannot say the name of the store, but I mean, I think that really explains how extremely important it is to really listen to your customers and to do something with that.
And that also,
that's a great case.
It is, and it exemplifies both return of investment in using Brilliant, but also the cost of inaction, of not using it when you have it.
Yes.
I love that. Yeah, and I didn't mean to sort of bully you, Joanna. I was just like, didn't we just... Maybe it was me, but great examples anyway. We are approaching the end. So I think this last question is really relevant because, again, from a Brilliant point of view, but also from a Brilliant customer point of view. So you decide or choose if you want to answer on behalf of both or just one. But we see that, and this is quite frustrating. I think this is probably one of the most frustrating parts for us working, with the customer experience management and the whole enabling that as a strategy together with the rest of the strategy that a company has. But if you want to get started, by working customer centric. If it's, getting a voice of the customer program up and running, or if it's investing in initiatives to improve your customer satisfaction and so on, where do you start to get that funding? Talking about ROI or even cost of inaction, or COI as we call it. Where would you start? Like, how would you go about that so that you can get going with this?
And I would say that there are two perspectives. Internally, you need to talk about your customers. You need to build that customer-centric organization. And I've been within organizations who it was ugly to talk about customers. It was actually ugly to talk about businesses that you closed. But so you really have that internal perspective. And then I think, obviously, collect data, collect feedback from your customers. Start small, decide what is the group of or the segment of customers that you want to start with, and why do you want to start with them. And then start from a smaller perspective. Both think about the strategic part, but also the operational part. What do your customers experience when they are in contact with you? So not do the whole big picture at the same time, to rather start small.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was an answer to your question.
It was.
Absolutely.
It is.
Yeah. And I think it's a very important and valid answer, because often, especially if you're listening to our podcast, you probably get the feeling that this is huge and I'm never going to get my CEO to buy into doing all of these activities. And you don't need to. You just need to start you need to start somewhere. And whether it's bringing in informed insight from the customers and bringing it up to the bar top. What was it called? The top
rooftop bar.
Rooftop bar. Then that's a great place to start.
Yeah. Definitely. And it's very easy. The survey that we sent out now to our customers, it's one and a net promoter score question with one what's it called, free text, being able to write, and then we have one question related to our products. That's it.
Yeah.
And with the help of AI and all the recommendations and everything that you get, you have so much to start working with.
Yeah.
And I actually made quite funny of myself, because I wrote on LinkedIn that it's so easy that actually even a CEO can do it.
I saw that. I loved it.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about this as I think it was the first or second episode of the podcast back in the day when we were only Norwegian and not Nordic and international. And but we talked about how you need to keep it short and sexy, because if it becomes too irrelevant, if you feel like, and again, it's basically common sense, right? But it's just common sense isn't always common practice, as we like to say as well. But it's just, if you keep going and going and going, and it's like, just add one more question. It's crazy. And like you say, now we have the technology to sort of understand the big picture, find the drivers, find it. And I also think I like the, like you say, you don't have to do everything at once. And I think if you start with one example, and if you succeed, you can use that example to sort of be proof for your next initiative that you want to do. Like, look, we did this is what we gained. Now we want to expand and try this too. And then it's so much easier to get the buy-in that we talked about as well. So, but you do need to have someone who is sort of passionate about this, I think, and who believes in it to begin with, because a lot of, I suppose, CFOs or even just CEOs as well, I suppose they do see there is a cost, right, tied to being customer centric. If you want to invest in your customers, there is a cost connected to it.
Yeah, but there is a huge cost if you don't do it.
Exactly. I love that. That's what I was looking for.
Sorry.
All right. Joanna, do you have any final sort of loose ends that we need to tie up before rounding off this great episode? And I just love, this was a great conversation.
Yeah, it was a brilliant conversation. And Ulrika, if anybody wants to get in touch with you or find out more about Brilliant Minds, what should they do?
Well, first of all, Brilliant Future. Brilliant Minds is another company, so you don't have to contact them. But either go to our homepage. Then you can find a lot of information. You can read all the studies that we have. You can watch different webinars and so on. But then please get in contact with me at LinkedIn.
We can drop a link both to
Yes, please
the
do,
Brilliant
because
Future
there are
website.
quite many Ulrika Jonssons here. At
Yeah.
least now that's my name. It will be something different in the future.
Because I was going to ask, are you going to change your name?
Yes, I will.
So your brand is
I'm very traditional.
Yeah. Yeah,
When's the big day?
We haven't decided yet. It will be next year.
Yeah, okay.
Great.
So you still can decide summer, autumn, winter, spring.
Yeah, probably I would say closer to summer.
Yeah, I would do the same. So, I mean, Ulrika Jonsson for now, but we'll make sure to leave the link. And if you have the link, it doesn't really matter what your name is, because the link, I think, is going to stay the same.
That's true.
Also, if you want to find out more about Brilliant Future, we will leave a link for that as well. And I do recommend you to check it out. I mean, again, it sounds biased, and it probably is, to be honest, because, when you know a company and you work with them, you won't see it totally objectively, but it is worth having a look. And I think what you guys have done and what we, in a way, also have done is it's a great journey to be on. And together we're making the world a little bit more customer-centric day by day.
Yeah.
And employee-centric.
All right. You guys have been listening and attending the CXPod. So happy to have you, Ulrika. Thank you so much, and we'll talk soon. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the CXPod. If you want to reach us, you can always find us on LinkedIn, and please remember to follow us on Spotify and leave a review of what you think.